you do know Rohan is delightful. He's very smart. He's also quite engaging.
He was always a solid, dependable face in the accounting profession, always positive, always upbeat.
He always seemed to want to ensure that the country was cutting edge. Always wanted to ensure that whatever was coming down the line, whether it was a commercial opportunity, whether it was a regulatory opportunity, that the country was going to stay ahead and be a leader around the world.
He was a go-getter. He thought outside the box. And he'd come up with ideas that were always very useful for the practice.
He's been a trailblazer. That's just the only way to put it, right? Rohan Small has been a trailblazer in the profession and across the industry, and I'm proud to call him my friend.
So ever since joining the firm over 33 years ago from university, I've been driven by the purpose of the firm, which is to build a better working world. So I went off to the University of Texas in '86, having received a scholarship from Cayman National to do computer science. It wasn't until when I came back to Cayman, I was catching up with some friends of mine, also some local leaders I look up to, in a discussion over lunch about Cayman and where it was going. At that time, Cayman was prime in the banking world. I thought the greater opportunity then was to get into financial services. So rather than drop the degree that I was pursuing, which was computer science, in that first semester, I decided to add accounting and go after 2 degrees, which was computer science and accounting. The University of Texas was highly ranked in both, and so it really created that opportunity for me to be educated and to be prepared for that journey. After I graduated from university, the thinking was I needed to join an accounting firm. I wanted to join an accounting firm. At that time, we had the Big 8. I decided to go ahead and interview with 4 of them. The one thing that impressed me with EY was when I went across for that interview, we had 2 of their most senior partners turn up for that interview. And that was a difference to me, because again, compared to the other firms, maybe they would have had a senior manager that come out to interview me, but the interest level that came from EY really made a difference.
We interviewed him and we were quite impressed by him. He passed the exams the first sitting, so he was very impressive. We obviously offered him a position and allowed him to advance his training with us through mentoring and guidance. I gave him one bit of advice in the early years. I told him basically to concentrate on his job and his position in the firm, and not to focus on anything else outside the firm, because if you're going to be successful in accounting, become a partner of a big firm, you have to stay focused.
At that time in 1993, when I joined the firm, the mutual funds law had just been passed. It was worked on by a number of persons within our firm at that time. And again, that got me excited. It provided this bright future for Cayman. And so one of the thinking we had also at that time, because everything was new in the funds world, was for me to go off to New York, study under a number of the funds partners there for a year, which was a great opportunity because I learned a lot. I had a chance to work very closely to clients who were rolling out funds at that time and using Cayman. They did express the needs that they would have from a jurisdictions like ours just to be able to thrive. Regulation was important to them, just how much regulation they would be subject to. And a number of other factors, the ease of doing business. And so, again, those were things that I picked up while I was there, able to bring it back when after my year rotation in New York, and started on this journey to try and address that locally within our jurisdiction. It gave me the big picture, and also it gave me a perspective as to where Cayman could fit in.
Getting that experience, especially in the fund business, the offshore fund activity business, it was quite helpful for our young people to get that experience. Normally they would go for a couple of years and then they'd come back to Cayman and work with us again.
If the business environment that we are operating in is not right, our clients cannot grow, our people would not have opportunities. So over the years, I've also focused on how we can help the industry we have here in Cayman to develop, to grow, to provide those opportunities for our people. So the better the business environment, the better the clients that we attract, and then the better the opportunities for our people. So that has driven me over the years, and that is, to make sure that we are building a better working world, not only for our families, but for the next generation of Caymanians to come. As a firm, we have had tremendous growth over my 33-year career, which is tied largely to the growth in our financial services industry here in Cayman and within our region. We are a very close partnership, and our people are our greatest assets. Leveraging off the diversity and background of all of our people has been one of the main drivers of our success over the years.
We were trying to build not only the profession around accounting, but more broadly financial services. So you looked at it and we were dealing with things like CIIPA. I went through a process where we were transitioning CIIPA from a society to an institute. And if memory serves me well, Rohan was actually the first president of the institute, which is now known as CIIPA. In addition to that, there was a number of pieces of legislation that Rohan, again, became quite involved in and helped marshal, champion.
So the other thing is we were challenged as a profession when Anderson failed because of the activities that happened around Enron, one of its largest clients in the US. And what happened back then was that the SEC decided to provide more oversight of our profession by creating the PCOB. We also had our challenges with long-term capital failing. There was a global trend now towards understanding what accountants do and how they conduct their audits. The global trend was moving towards oversight. And so at that time, when I was president of CIIPA, or CIIPA, as it's now called, in 2004, as president, we saw the need that we need to get on board with this trend, and that is to provide oversight and regulation of our local practitioners. And so another thing that we did in 2004 was rolled out the accountants law. We ended up pulling it together, writing it as a body within CIIPA, working with some of the politicians that was in place at that time. One of them being Minister Ralston Anglin.
Rohan has played an instrumental role in the growth, maturity of the financial industry generally, but more specifically the accounting profession. I can remember being a freshman legislator and having deep conversations with a lot of my former colleagues, having just left the profession myself to enter the world of politics, around what we needed to do to create a robust regulatory environment and framework for the profession. And Rohan was there every step of the way. That culminated in the Accountants Law, now the Accountants Act. That, of course, then formed the basis and framework for all of the regulation around the profession. Rohan has then gone on and done other great things with Cayman Finance, with CIIPA, and these other organizations that are also, great foundational pieces for financial services.
How has Maples worked with Rohan over the years? We've worked with Rohan on numerous industry consulting opportunities to provide feedback and industry's perspective to government. We have seen Rohan in any number of significant roles, for example, as a past president of CIIPA, as a former chair of AIMA Cayman. Rohan and I both serve on the board of Cayman Finance, and Rohan has been on the board for a long time. We've worked very closely on a number of consultations where the perspectives of the accounting professionals, the regulator, the needs of third-party external interests have all had to be weighed up very carefully. And we've often spent many hours in meeting rooms, either in the side of the Parliament building or elsewhere in the E&Y boardrooms, going over the very detail of how these provisions can be made to work and find that careful balance between the needs of industry and of government and the regulator to come up with what we hope are very attractive products that still meet the needs of all of these different stakeholders. We've worked on mutual funds law, private funds law, economic substance law consultations, any number of consultations. Rohan has been representing the accounting profession.
We collaborated on lots of different things, so whether it was significant liquidation mandates where Walkers was counsel and EY were in the liquidation role, or just generally working on advisory matters. The other thing was public-private sector consultations. We did a lot of things together with government, working on regulations and new legislation that would be better for the financial services industry in general.
If it's a heated policy debate, regulatory change, things can get tense in consultation meetings, and he's always the person who will call me afterwards and say, look, there's points on both sides, but this is what I think you can do. In my experience, a voice of reason.
He does take time to engage with younger folks. The whole idea of paying it forward is really important, and I think Rohan will spend the time, as busy as he may be, to engage with younger folks and talk to them about it, encourage them, bearing in mind that we all, he, like myself and others, grew up and we didn't necessarily have loads of people who were able to do it and support us, but that's something I think he takes quite seriously, and it's good.
Our accounting profession is changing rapidly, and what I would do is encourage our young Caymanians to embrace this rapid change that's coming. Gone are the days where we used to use old traditional methods of doing accounting and auditing, and embracing what's coming today, which is AI and rapid emerging technology to help provide tools to help us do what we're doing today.
He was a role model for a lot of us coming through that were younger. Now that he has achieved this level of success and been a partner at EY for so many years, it's also good to now see him give back, because his giving back has been felt.
He's really passionate about leadership and about inspiring the next generation of Caymanians. And a lot of people talk about mentoring, but not that many people live it.
And one of the things I was humbled and proud to do also was create an endowment fund at the University of Texas, which will in perpetuity provide scholarships for 2 or 3 persons who are of need in the business school. I come from a large, close-knit family where my parents have instilled all of my early values. I am close to my 3 brothers, 2 of which are very active in the financial services industry and accounting profession. My sons are my greatest treasure, and my wife and all of my closest friends keep me grounded and balanced.
And finally, I'd just like to offer my personal congratulations to Rohan on this nomination and recognition after his decades of work in the industry, and it's really great. So congratulations, Rohan.
So I could not be more pleased that Rohan is receiving this award as a pioneer in his industry. And so, Rohan, congratulations. Here's to you.